Welcome to your daily dose of astrological insight and inspiration for Thursday, the 10th of October 2024. I'm intuitive evolutionary astrologer and psychic tarot reader, Crystal, the Crystalline Priestess. Now let's get into the energy of the day. Alrighty, my loves, so it's a big day today, and I actually forgot to mention this in Astro Tea Weekly, which I'm slightly devastated about, but I have a tendency to do that. But today we actually have Jupiter going retrograde. So I did mention in Astro Tea Weekly that we were getting very close to Jupiter retrograde, but I had sort of missed that today is the day of Jupiter going retrograde. So huge deal. He's also starting to make that retrograde actually still in that really beautiful little sextile over with Chiron. So we've been talking about that a lot recently, and I feel as though this is still, with this retrograde coming in, this is still us rehashing a lot of these personal healing issues, these deep identity wounds that we've been facing, these issues that are asking us to look in the mirror. I'm here and how does it go? I'm talking about the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. I think that is very much coming up today with Jupiter going retrograde. We have the moon who is in Capricorn. He's at 7 degrees by 10 a.m. in the morning. So we have had him squaring with the nodes all morning for my Aussies. So we've been waking up with this gravity. I feel as though gravity is the word, where things feel a little bit thick. When Jupiter goes retrograde, especially when he is in fall Gemini, we feel that heaviness. And I'm sure that it was the last time that Jupiter went retrograde in Gemini was around 2012. So I think you guys can probably remember some of the interesting times that we were in back then. And so when it comes to Jupiter going retrograde, there is this really heavy feeling that comes with it. Now, today we still have Venus, who is at 20 degrees now of Scorpio, and she is in that beautiful Yod position between Jupiter, who's just gone retrograde in Gemini, and with Chiron, who's at 21 degrees of Aries. So both of these planets, well, I mean, Jupiter's a planet, Chiron's an asteroid, but he's a big deal. So, you know, he's not as strong as a planet, but he holds an awful lot of weight. He's, in my opinion, very much so the strongest of the asteroids. And so he is pretty much, you know, in mythology, they look at him as the wounded warrior. And so, you know, he is in constant servitude, and he's constantly in this life of having to deal with being wounded, and because I'm sure that he gets shot with a poison arrow. If I'm perfectly honest, I feel like I need to actually brush up on my homework because I'm forgetting it a little bit right now. So this is giving me Jupiter going retrograde. Brush up on your homework. You know, brush up on the things that you've gotten a little bit out of touch with, because we've been focusing on so many things. With Jupiter being now in this retrograde, we're going to have to rehash, go over some of the big mind expansive sort of things that we've really hashed out over this whole sort of, I don't know, past like 5 months. How long's Jupiter been in Gemini now? Because it's gone so quick. Has it not? This not being the fastest Jupiter you've ever seen moving? Oh my goodness, guys. And we don't even have a Sun-Jupiter conjunction over this cycle, which is very rare. So usually when we have Jupiter move into a new sign, you know, at some point we will have the Sun conjunct Jupiter at some stage throughout that. And, you know, we get this big, beautiful illumination from Jupiter in his transit, and he gives us this big message and you know, gives us this, I don't know, I see it as like this spiritual message, because Jupiter is kind of like, you know, the spiritual guru type of vibe. And so it's almost like being handed this like lovely message, almost like we're the student and we get this beautiful teaching. And so Jupiter's now going retrograde. There's not going to be a Sun-Jupiter conjunction that we have over this cycle. The Sun's going to oppose Jupiter while it's in retrograde. It's not really going to be this beautiful Jupiter lovey, great feeling that I think a lot of us want, especially with that Chiron and the North Node being with Chiron, and Chiron being in that sextile with Jupiter. There is this, I think there's this opportunity, I think, with this retrograde, where if we are willing to do the healing work with that Chiron, you know, if we're willing to look at the masks that we've put on our faces, if we're willing to look at the identity, the self-worth issues, the issues that we have around the way out that we look, the issues that we have around the way we might be showing up, you know, even just then, you know, I like started and said like a wow, and like you know, I have one of my identity issues is that I like stutter on my words all the time, and like I speak really fast, and I'm not like this amazing speaker or anything like that, and my words kind of come out like vomit sometimes, and that's like see, look, I'm doing it again, my Mercury Chiron stuff. And so that Chiron is this never-ending sort of wound that we always sort of have in the back of our mind and hearts, and we just always know that it's there. And so with this Jupiter connection, as he goes retrograde, I believe that he's really truly asking us to focus on this Chiron, to focus on this healing. We're going to have a full moon in Aries next week, so I think it's a beautiful time to start really, especially with this yod that we have today at the same time, and Jupiter is a part of this yod that we have with Venus. And so we have to look at our values, we have to look at our self-esteem, we have to look at our self-worth, we have to be looking at how we're treating ourselves emotionally, spiritually, all of these things. And we've been talking about these things, you know, for a while now, building into this week, into this retrograde. But now that Jupiter has gone retrograde, we are having to look a little bit, you know, deeper under those rugs. You know, we've already cleared out a lot of the muck, but there are, and I've said this a few times, you know, there are still there's still a few little things that we've got left over that we need to clear out, that we need to tidy up. So I feel as though today is the beginning of that, it's not so much a realization, but I feel like it's acceptance is the word I'm kind of getting. It's this accepting that there is a level of grind to life right now. There is a level of having to deal with some of these bigger issues in life that we're all sort of facing at the moment on a really mundane level, you know, in a way that says I still have to wake up and brush my teeth, I still have to feed myself, I still have to, you know, take care of my physical needs, even though so much is happening around me, so much is happening in the world, so much is happening in my family. You know, I'm feeling my wounds with Jupiter going retrograde in that sextile to Chiron. Yes, it's a beautiful positive aspect, but it's showing us where we're also not really feeling as beautiful as we could, as put together as we could, as strong in our identity. That's what Chiron and Aries kind of is. And, you know, Jupiter's now meeting Chiron in that retrograde. So both planets are retrograde, and both of these planets are sort of creating that yod point. And yods, while they are a finger of God aspect, and we've talked about this so much recently, while they are pretty much God pointing in a direction of something, and it's like, you know, beautiful and it's divine, and I love them, they're difficult because it's made up of two quincunxes, if I can speak properly, which is an aspect in astrology that really can't relate to each other. You know, it has difficulty understanding itself, it's understanding each other. It's looking at that sign and going, I don't really know if I quite get you. And so there is this, especially when it's Chiron and it's Jupiter, who are both retrograde, and then we got Venus in detriment, who's in Scorpio. And the thing is, she's in detriment, but she's actually been having some really beautiful alignments over this transit that she's had. The most difficult is honestly coming up towards the end of this week, into the weekend and next Monday. So we've been facing some kind of beautiful awakening moments when I think it comes to our values. And with this 10 of Wands, it feels as though this is us having really walked this path and committed with this strength. I'm really seeing it as like, you know, she's putting in the hard work. It doesn't look comfortable to go on this journey that she's on. She's literally got a yak, she's got warm clothes, she's carrying a bunch of stuff, she's got this yak all loaded up. So, you know, there's a lot of work, there's a lot of stuff that still needs to be done. The moon is in Capricorn and it's in the square to these nodes. So we understand that there is a lot of work that has to be done. And then as we progress into the day and get more towards the afternoon, we're going to have the moon that's going to have a square with Lilith. And so that square with Lilith building into the night is going to really be a moment where we have to sort of control our desires, control our emotions. We have the Justice card coming out, and I think that this is sort of that Libra Lilith moment, because, you know, Lilith is in Libra. So the shadow could definitely sort of start to come out, and I just saw 11:11 on the clock when I said that. So when the shadow comes out today, because it will, Jupiter's going retrograde. It's, you know, we're 2 days off Pluto going direct this is the last 2 days of Pluto Capricorn in our lives that we'll ever experience ever. So we are really in these moments. We're in the thick of it. We are very much in the thick of it. I'm literally seeing someone like in a thicket, in a whole heap of like, just surrounded by bush, you know what I mean? Like they are in the thick. They're looking around going, whoa, how am I going to get out of here? You know, there's a trail, but that trail is also overgrown, you know? You gotta, now I'm seeing the road to Eldorado. Turning myth into truth. We will ride into history. You know, it's kind of like needing to sort of cut away at what is, and we've been doing this, and that's what this Venus Scorpio is. It's purification, and that's why I think this Yod today is asking for us to purify, because we are going to have this trigger moment. There is just going to be something that comes up with that square with the moon and Lilith that sort of pisses us off a little, or has us going down this judgmental rabbit hole. Maybe we're judging ourselves, maybe we're judging someone else, or maybe we're going down the unfairness route. We're going, you know, why does this always happen to me? Poor me, woe is me. There's also, you know, debates. We could be getting in an emotional sort of getting argumenty, all that sort of stuff. And so this is really, with Jupiter now going retrograde today, it's about getting your facts straight. It's about not going off without knowing what you're sort of doing. We still have that Mercury who is really close to the sun. So Mercury's still feeling quite burned up by the rays of the sun. And so with Jupiter now going retrograde and Jupiter being in Gemini and sort of dispositing that Mercury being in Libra and also being in an opposition with Chiron, ooh, thunder, while he's being burned up from the sun, we're having to face that we're not thinking fully clearly. And I think if we look at the collective, if we look at reality, a lot of us can see that people are not thinking clearly at the moment. We're on 3 massive outer planet transitions all sort of happening around the same time. So yeah, we're feeling unhinged. We're feeling all over the place. And this week, Jupiter's just going retrograde and Pluto's about to go direct in 2 days. And so, and also, you know, Mars is now in his shadow. He's well and truly in shadow. So it's shadow at 17 degrees. Now he's at 19 degrees. He's finished that square with the sun, but he's moving closer, or actually no, he's about to have that square with the sun. I'm sorry guys, I see, this is that Mercury opposing Chiron, and I think we need to talk about this, where you can get lost, you know, just miscommunications, saying the wrong thing. And this happens all the time. Like I'll be talking, saying all this stuff, and then I watch the video back and I'm like, oh my god, I just said the wrong planet, you know, or I just said something that I did not realize I said at all, because I just completely mispronounced something or said the wrong word or something like that, but you don't even notice. And so this is just going to be a day where we're going to have to start seeing and also accepting and having grace with ourselves, in that we can't always be perfect. And that's what that Venus in Scorpio as well in that Yod with the Chiron and Jupiter retrograde is about, understanding that we aren't always perfect. We are never going to always show up perfect. We can show up our best, and that's the thing about right now. I think it's about showing up the best we can. It's not about showing up as, look at me, I've got everything worked out, because no one does at the moment. This is about us having to work through a level of grind that we've never really known before, because we're more committed now to our values. We're more committed now to a lifestyle that we truly want. We're not going to get caught up anymore in this, you know, Pluto Capricorn. We've got 2 days left of the retrograde. We are ready with this Hierophant. We are ready to, you know, walk, I'm hearing the ladder of success. We're ready to kind of climb the ladder of success, but we're ready to climb it on our own terms. With this justice, it feels as though making the decisions for ourselves, making a decision based in true balance, you know, and no longer teetering too far onto one side or the other, and understanding with that 10 of Wands that there is a level of hardship that comes with understanding the work that we need to be putting in and the work that we need to do in order to keep climbing, you know, this Capricorn mountain. We're about to have a Mars retrograde in opposition to Pluto, guys. This is huge, that is building into 2025. And so we're already sort of in this portal now that we've had these eclipses last week. You know, that not last week, but the last month, you know, we've had that Pisces full moon eclipse, which if you haven't checked the reading out, make sure you do because it's still relevant, as well as the October 3rd Libra new moon eclipse. So also check that out because that one's legit and lit too. So those eclipses have now sown the seeds for this next 6 month cycle. So we're going to be dealing with some of these things that have come up over those eclipses. We're really dealing with these energies building into the next 6 months. And I feel as though this week is you know, we're still coming down from that eclipse sort of portal. And, you know, the moon is in its first kind of quarter square. It's in Capricorn. So we're starting to really feel these push, pull, these hard sort of, I literally just started like squeezing my nails into my hand without even realizing. So it's almost like, you know, we're clenching our fists at this point, realizing some of the hardships I think that we're actually in at the moment. You know, I think a lot of us have been trying to do our best, and especially with Neptune being in Pisces and Saturn retrograde in Pisces too. It's really kind of this moment to sort of build us into understanding where I think a lot of us have been trying to bury our heads in the sand for a long time, and this is a period of time where we no longer can do that. You know, my hand kind of hurts now. Like I literally have like marks in my hand, and so I feel like we're seeing the scars now. We're seeing the scars. We're seeing the physical representations in life now of what we've been through, and this is bigger than just the last 6 months. This is bigger than just Saturn in Pisces from March 2023. This is bigger from the last Mars retrograde that we had, that was in 2022 into 2023. So we're on bigger cycles than that. We are looking at a nodal cycle. You know, North Node, last time it was in Aries was back in 2004, 2005. So we're looking at 19-year cycle, and we're looking at the ending of the cycle of Pluto Capricorn since 2008. So we are at a huge cyclic turning point in our lives, and we're really feeling it. And I feel like the reason why things feel so heavy right now is because they are. It's because this is really dense, because this astrology is gnarly. It's nuts. You know, it's absolutely impeccable that you are valuing your needs and the needs of the people closest to you as well. With that Venus in Scorpio, it's about other people. It's not just about yourself. It's about other people. And so it can't, the reason it's in detriment or fall, you know, it can't be entirely focused on other people too much to the point where it gets absorbed and obsessive and crazy. You know, it can get jealous and all those sorts of things. So it's about needing to have a healthy balance between you and other people, and that's what this Chiron and Libra sort of Aries Libra opposition is as well, as it's having a healthy self-identity as well as a healthy self-concept with the people around you and healthy connections with those people in your life. Justice, that's why it's out here. So this is just a really deep day. It's a day of realizing that we've got to deal with our problems. We've got to deal with our deep worth stuff. And some of us, you know, there's healing stuff coming up from the past. I feel as though with Chiron and Jupiter, Jupiter in Gemini going retrograde, it feels like we're needing to understand where the past may have shaped us, you know, into having certain ways of being that are not in service, toxic ways of being. You know, Scorpio, we're having to purge the toxins. I'm seeing snake venom. You know, the thing about snake venom is that it can kill you, but it's also in the cure. It's also in the anti-venom. And so, you know, you have to sort of learn that with this Venus Yod, while Jupiter's going retrograde, we need to understand that sometimes our wounds are our greatest blessings. Sometimes the broken parts of us hold the key, and that's why Chiron looks like a key, because Chiron holds the key. I don't know why I'm like shooting a gun, but Chiron holds the key to unlocking a whole new life, you know, unlocking the door to your true thrive. And that true thrive comes through a total self-acceptance, a deep, with Scorpio, you know, a deep total self-awareness and total self-absorption, a total I'm hearing the word absolution, and I don't even know what that means, so I'm actually going to Google that because I feel like I'm intrigued by that. Absolution. Formal release from guilt, obligation, or punishment. Okay, so self-absolution. Okay, I like that. You know what? That's what it is. This is finally allowing ourselves to no longer punish ourselves. Damn. Formal release from guilt, obligation, or punishment. Absolution is a theological term for the forgiveness imparted by ordained Christian priests and experienced by Christian penitents. It is a universal feature of the historic churches of Christendom, although the theology and the practice of absolution vary between Christian denominations. Okay, true. So it's a religious thing and it's a Christian religious thing too, and that feels a little woo! So that's the thing. We're needing to, with Saturn in Pisces, Neptune in Pisces, we're needing to heal, and this Hierophant, spiritual healing 100%. We're ready to stop. Why am I hearing the word absolve? What does that mean? My grandma is a hardcore Catholic, and I feel like she comes through in these readings a lot to help me, and I feel like she's the one giving me these words. Declare someone free from guilt, obligation, or punishment. In church use, give absolution for a sin. Oh my God, this is about fucking deep personal forgiveness. I'm sorry this has taken so long to get to this point, but this is, holy crap, my grandma just brought it home. Thanks, Gemma, I love you. But this is about deep personal forgiveness, self-absolution, oh my God, absolve yourself. That is just crazy. That's the weirdest shit that's ever come through. But this Hierophant, I really like this version of the Hierophant, because the Hierophant is a card of tradition, and especially spiritual tradition. And you know, Christianity and stuff would fall under this. But this card, this deck in particular, really more so gives me this feeling of like your own personal connection with God and your commitment to that. It doesn't matter what your religion is, whether you have a religion, whether you hate religion, whether you love it, you loathe it, I don't care. You know, God doesn't care, in my opinion. It's really about your spiritual connection to your higher self, to your deepest parts of yourself, the deepest, it literally feels like going within yourself. And that's the thing with Scorpio and that sexual sort of energy. I feel as though this yacht is asking us for us to go deep, deep, deep within, you know, to explore our deepest desires, to explore the parts of ourselves that I'm hearing the word revolt. So revolting. I'm hearing we need to start facing the parts of us that we are revolted by. And you know, that could look like, for some of us, it's actually sexuality. You know, it could be, an example is maybe you're someone who has experienced trauma or abuse and you haven't really quite faced that. Look, I'm gonna put my hand up and say I'm speaking from experience. I'm using myself as an example. And you get to a point where you're 29 years old and then you realize that you can't even look at yourself in the mirror. And you have to go, I gotta do something about that. Okay, I gotta deal with this. I gotta deal with my body. I gotta deal with, you know, if I want to be a mother and I want to give birth, I gotta face that part of me. You know what I mean? So sorry to give you guys such a graphic example, but it's probably the best mother effing example I could think of, and I think it's a damn good analogy for the harshness of what we're actually having to deal with. I've never wanted to look at it. Now I have to. Like, I have no choice. So, you know, life is going to present you with experiences, and that's why this time is so crucial, because we are in that testing time, in particular with this ending of Pluto Capricorn, with these changing of these planets. It's a huge time for us to realize that we are in this spiritual moment, and I'm hearing like spiritual test. Jupiter's gone retrograde now. So we're having to clear up and clean up our environment. What is the environment that you've been creating yourself? We're having to look at Chiron and Aries. What have we been doing individually? What is it that what are you afraid to face within yourself? What are you, what toxic, you know, ways of being, what toxic lifestyles, what toxic habits have you created in your own life that come from deep within you? Deep identity wounds that came up through childhood, Gemini, you know, the things that have come about because of the environment that you grew up in. You know, they say that we're a product of our environment. So this Jupiter retrograde needs to be you looking at your environment. Where have you I'm sorry, I'm hearing where have you gone wrong? So, I don't know, some of us feel as though we've sort of like gone wrong in some ways. Maybe we you know, can see that now in hindsight, we're looking back and going, yeah, I probably shouldn't have hung out with those people. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that thing. Yeah, I probably should have maybe actually taken myself out of that environment, or maybe I should have brought myself into that environment instead of being too afraid and you know, with Chiron having an identity issue and feeling like I don't belong in that space. So this is us having to really look at all of these nitty-gritty, ugly, annoying little things, and the moon's in Capricorn. So this is probably a really good opportunity to do it, because we're not feeling super, you know, when the moon's in Capricorn, we're feeling a little bit emotionally stagnant and stale. That's how I like to call it. Sorry for my moon in Capricorn friends out there, but you're a little bit emotionally stagnant and stale sometimes. Do I know a moon in Capricorn? No. I don't think so. No, I'm not sure. Anyway. We had the hedonist archetype come out while I was talking about that Venus, and so I feel like this is confirmation. The light attributes of the hedonist is inspires creative energy to embrace the good things in life, celebrates the beauty in yourself. The shadow attributes is pursues pleasure to the detriment of health and indulges at the expense of others. So this is about no longer, that's what this Venus Yod is. We have to purge. Jupiter retrograde is here to ask us to purge and release this overindulgence. What is Jupiter but too much? It's excess. Too much of a good, there really can be too much of a good thing, you know? And so this is having to see the beauty in life, the beauty in ourselves, having to look at beauty from a different standard, from a different perspective, in a different way, you know, because Jupiter's in Gemini. It's not functioning the way it usually likes to function. It's not all happy dappy days and happy as Larry, good vibes, you know, as it usually is. It's more, you know, bleak. It's more like it's more, you know what I'm saying, it is like more of a dry ass humor. Like more of just this like really bleak attitude sort of thing, and it's still got this joy to it, this funniness, this radiance. I haven't seen The Office, but I'm seeing like a character from The Office, and I don't know if it's Steve Carell or, you know, if one of you guys watch The Office or something, like let me know if there's a character that sort of fits this vibe, that, you know, if you're picking up what I'm putting down. But basically it's just like, you know, someone who is still fun, they're still an awesome person, but like there's a little bit of a seriousness to them, and like, you know, they do spit facts, but they can come off a little harsh and a little rough sometimes. It can be a little bit like taken aback and like, what the fuck was that? But at the same time you're like, no, I kind of get that, and then they just come out with some like really sadistic ass, like dry ass humor. Anyway, that's kind of the vibe of this Jupiter, and I feel as though we're needing to see sometimes the beauty in darkness. That's the thing. We're needing to see how humor can be that thing that helps pull you out of the darkness. Humor is the number one thing. I've never really watched stand-up comedy or anything like that, but I've been recently like loving comedy and getting into comedy, and it's really been helping me to like literally come out of my like funk and out of my like unhappiness sort of thing. So I feel like comedy could really be helpful, and with this Jupiter retrograde as well, and with it being in Gemini, you know, maybe it's like going back to some of the things you used to watch when you were younger. Maybe you used to watch that 70s show, you haven't watched it in years, go watch it. You know, maybe you used to love watching Adventure Time cartoons and stuff. Like, it's feeling like bring a little bit of lighthearted energy in if you can, because we have such an intense vibe that we're just all sort of under at the moment, and I know that we're all feeling it. So we have the guide archetype coming out. The light attribute represents the nature of the divine in life and in yourself. Shadow attribute is places financial gain and control over imparting spiritual insight. So this is about really just allowing yourself to be guided by God today, and that is what this Yod is about. Represents the nature. Sorry guys, camera stopped. This is needing to see where the divine has always had your back, and where the more effort and the more energy and love with this Yod that we have with Jupiter turning retrograde while he's in a sextile over with Chiron, we're having to understand where Spirit has always had our back and where we've always been provided for. And even though we're on a journey that feels tiring, long, arduous, painful, with justice here, it's the right one, where we are rebalancing the scales actively as we speak. It's just that it's difficult, it's a long process, and it takes time. The last card we have is the Eternal Child. Determination to remain young in body, mind, and spirit, an ability to see things with fresh eyes. The shadow attributes is an inability to grow up and be responsible, extreme dependency on others for physical physical security. So these are the moments, and this is the ending of Pluto Capricorn. Last 2 days, or last day really, today and tomorrow are our last days of having Pluto retrograde in Capricorn ever. So we're needing to face where we have not wanted to take responsibility. This is the end. You have the 2 more days left of retrograde to really analyze where you've been failing in your own ability to take on what you need to take on at this new level. And whether that's less work, maybe that's more work, maybe that's, you know what, it's going to look different for everyone. Maybe it's more self-work, maybe it's less self-work, and maybe more getting in the real world. It's going to be different for absolutely everyone, but we're really needing to start looking at life from this higher perspective and to really jump headfirst into, you know, reaching for what it is that we want without holding ourselves back. And you know, what we want comes with a level of responsibility, and we have to accept that with that Hierophant. That responsibility and achievement and reaching the top of the ladder comes with a level of commitment and consistency that is, you know, completely undeniable. And that's what that moon square is going to be today. We're going to be it's annoying, you know, but that square to Lilith that's going to be happening tonight, especially when it comes to relationships. We might be having, you know, an argument with a partner or a business partner or someone close to us, and they just annoy us and they make us feel like, oh, you know, maybe this isn't worth it. And I feel as though, you know, tomorrow we're going to be having that moon in opposition with Mars. We're going to be having the moon then moving into a conjunction with Pluto. With Pluto, its final ever conjunction with Pluto, as Pluto turns direct for the last time ever in Capricorn. So we're in these huge times. Allow yourself to be guided by spirit. Allow yourself to be listening to your intuition. Connect, close your eyes, feed yourself what it is that you need. You know, I feel like valuing your health, valuing the way you're feeling, valuing your needs right now is fucking impeccable. It's unbelievably important. So my loves, I do apologize once again. This one was really, really long, but this is a really, really important day, huge week that we have right now. So we got to talk about it. I love you guys so, so, so much. If you did enjoy this video and if it resonated, please do give it a like, because it really does help to spread my channel to more astro nerds like me and yourself. If you would like to book a personal tarot or astrology reading with me, you can do that down below through my link tree. Make sure you check out your channeled songs. Make sure you check out those eclipse readings if you haven't already, as well as Astro Tea Weekly, because we go through everything real deep in that as well. We kind of cover the overall energy of this time that we're in and all that sort of jazz. I'd like to thank your angels, your ancestors, your higher self, your spirit guides, all the beautiful benevolent beings that are surrounding you and I in all moments, for allowing me to receive and to deliver this message for you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really, really appreciate you. Let me know in the comments if you have any suggestions for future videos, the type of content you would like to see on the channel and all that sort of jazz. And I will see you guys in tomorrow's horoscope. Peace.